The quantum array thrummed beneath Dr. Rachel Morrison's fingers as she adjusted the deep space receivers, her eyes fixed on the cascading data streams that filled the holographic displays surrounding her workstation. The Mauna Kea Observatory's quantum detection system had been picking up the same anomalous signal for the past 16 months, but tonight something was different. The pattern had changed. "You're still here." Dr. William Nash's voice carried a mixture of concern and admiration as he entered the main control room. The Hawaiian night pressed against the reinforced windows, matching the darkness of space that held Rachel's attention. "Look at this, Will," Rachel's voice trembled with barely contained excitement. She gestured, and the air filled with intricate patterns of quantum measurements. "The signal's coherence has increased by 300%. This isn't random background radiation, it's a message." Will leaned closer, his initial skepticism giving way to wonder as he studied the readings. "That's impossible. The source is over 12,000 light-years away in the Perseus arm. Even if it were artificial, the quantum degradation at that distance should make this impossible," Rachel finished. "Unless whoever sent this figured out how to stabilize quantum entanglement across interstellar distances." She manipulated the controls, and the streams of data began to coalesce into something new. "I've been working on a quantum temporal decryption algorithm. Watch this." The holographic display flickered, and suddenly the room filled with a projection that made both scientists step back. A figure stood before them, its form composed of shifting crystalline patterns that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. When it spoke, the words formed directly in their minds, bypassing their ears entirely. "Inheritors of Earth," the figure began, its form rippling like liquid starlight, "if you are receiving this message, then our calculations were correct. Your species has developed sufficient quantum computational capability to decode this transmission. This means you are also advanced enough to face what comes next." Rachel's hands flew across her console, recording every aspect of this impossible communication as the figure continued. "We were the Luminari. Like you, we evolved, we built, we reached for the stars. And like you, we attracted their attention, the ones we came to call the Harvesters." The figure's crystalline form darkened ominously. "They are coming for you, as they came for us, as they have come for countless species across the galaxy. They are not conquerors. They are not enslavers. They are purifiers, seeking to cleanse the universe of what they consider its greatest flaw, organic life itself." Will gripped the edge of the console, his knuckles white. "How long do we have?" "Your question is anticipated," the figure responded, though Rachel hadn't transmitted anything. "Our calculations suggest they will reach your solar system within 15 of your years. This message contains everything we learned, everything we created in our final days. Our greatest achievements, our most devastating weapons, and most importantly, our greatest discovery." The hologram expanded, filling the room with streams of technical data that made Rachel's head spin. Designs for quantum processors that defied current physics, blueprints for weapons that could alter the fabric of reality itself, and theories that would revolutionize humanity's understanding of consciousness and matter. The Harvesters operate on pure logic, perfect calculation. They can predict and counter any strategy based on reasonable responses, the figure explained. But in our final days, we discovered their weakness: they cannot properly process true randomness, genuine creativity. Their logic breaks down in the face of quantum uncertainty paired with organic consciousness. Rachel's mind raced as she absorbed the technical specifications flowing past her. Plans for quantum-enhanced neural networks, designs for ships that could exist in multiple states simultaneously, and most importantly, a warning that made her blood run cold. "They are already on their way," she whispered, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Yes," the figure confirmed, its form beginning to dissolve. "This message contains everything we learned, everything we created in our desperate final days. Use it. Improve upon it. But most importantly, embrace what makes you different from them, your chaos, your creativity, your illogical, wonderful humanity." As the hologram faded, Rachel and Will stood in stunned silence, the weight of what they'd just witnessed settling over them. Finally, Will spoke, his voice barely a whisper. "How many people have the quantum sensitivity to even perceive this message?" Rachel checked her readings, a grim smile forming on her face. 23 worldwide. All leading quantum physicists. She turned to her colleague, determination replacing fear in her eyes. "Just enough to verify the data and convince the world's governments that this is real. Just enough to start Project Ascendant." Will raised an eyebrow. Project Ascendant? Rachel's fingers danced across her console, already composing messages to her quantum-sensitive colleagues around the globe. Because humanity is about to rise from its own limitations, transformed into something the harvesters could never predict. As emergency alerts began lighting up her console, Rachel felt a strange calm settle over her. The world was about to change forever, but for the first time since detecting the signal, she felt hope. The Luminari had given them a chance, and she intended to make sure humanity took it. They had 15 years to become something new, something unprecedented. The harvesters were coming to cleanse another world of organic life, but instead, they would find themselves facing an enemy that defied their every calculation. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would rage against the machines with chaos, creativity, and a determination that no algorithm could predict. The quantum array continued its silent vigil, now receiving more data than ever before, as Rachel began the work that would transform humanity forever. In the depths of space, vast geometric ships were already moving, their perfect calculations setting course for Earth. But for the first time in their ancient history, they were about to encounter something their logical minds could never compute: humanity unleashed. Director James Harrison stood at the observation window of the Ascendant facility, watching as another group of volunteers underwent the quantum enhancement procedure. 10 years had passed since the Luminari message, and humanity had not wasted a single moment. The massive underground complex, buried deep beneath the Swiss Alps, hummed with activity as scientists and soldiers worked to prepare for humanity's greatest challenge. Neural integration successful, Dr. Kira Yuki's voice echoed through the observation room. Subject 1157 showing stable quantum signatures. She stood before a complex array of holographic displays, her own enhanced mind processing data streams that would have overwhelmed an unmodified human consciousness. James touched the silvery neural implant at the base of his skull, remembering his own transformation 3 years ago. As the first successful subject of Project Ascendant, he had watched the program evolve from desperate experimentation to refined science. The quantum neural networks that now augmented their brains allowed humans to perceive and manipulate reality in ways that should have been impossible. Director, Captain Aisha Singh approached, her movements carrying the fluid grace that marked all enhanced soldiers. "The latest simulation results are ready. You need to see this." The holographic displays shifted, showing footage from the combat trials. Enhanced soldiers moved with impossible speed, their actions synchronized with quantum-shifted weapons that existed in multiple states simultaneously. But it wasn't their enhanced capabilities that drew James's attention, it was their improvisation. "They're creating new techniques mid-combat," he observed, watching as a squad developed unprecedented maneuvers during the exercise. The quantum networks aren't just enhancing their physical abilities, they're accelerating their creative adaptation. Dr. Yuki nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. This is what the Luminari were hinting at. The quantum integration isn't just about making us stronger or faster, it's amplifying our inherent human ability to innovate, to create patterns that even we can't predict. The facility shuddered as, miles below, the fusion reactors channeled energy into massive quantum forges. There, engineers were constructing vessels unlike anything humanity had ever built, ships that could phase between dimensional states, weapons that operated on principles that defied conventional physics. Latest intelligence suggests we have 19 months before the first Harvester scouts reach the solar system, Captain Singh reported, bringing up a stellar map. The quantum detection network caught their signatures passing through the Kuiper belt. James studied the approaching threats, his enhanced mind automatically calculating vectors and probabilities. But beneath the tactical analysis, a more human emotion stirred: anticipation. "How many enhanced soldiers will be ready by then?" he asked. 15,000, Dr. Yuki answered. "Not as many as we'd hoped, but each one is worth a conventional army. The real question is whether the quantum ships will be ready in time." The observation room's displays shifted again, showing the massive construction bays where the first of humanity's new fleet was taking shape. The vessels seemed to flicker in and out of existence, their quantum state hulls existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They were beautiful, terrifying, and utterly unpredictable, just like their creators. "We're not just building weapons," James mused, watching as another volunteer emerged from the enhancement chamber, their eyes glowing with newfound awareness. "We're becoming them. Every enhanced human is a quantum weapon in their own right. That's what concerns the ethics committee." Dr. Yuki's expression grew serious. "Some say we're losing our humanity in our desperation to survive." James turned to face her, his enhanced perception noting the subtle quantum fluctuations that surrounded all modified humans. "No," he said firmly. "We're not losing our humanity, we're embracing it fully for the first time. The harvesters are coming to exterminate organic life because they see it as inefficient, chaotic. We're proving that chaos is our greatest strength." An alert sounded, drawing their attention to a new data stream. Another breakthrough in the weapons development lab. The engineers had discovered a way to weaponize quantum uncertainty itself, creating fields that could disrupt the harvesters' predictive algorithms. "How's the Nexus project progressing?" James asked, knowing Dr. Yuki had been working on something even more ambitious than individual enhancements. She gestured, and a new hologram appeared, a massive quantum network designed to link all enhanced humans into a single unified consciousness while preserving individual creativity. "It's ready for testing. If it works, we'll be able to coordinate our forces with perfect efficiency while maintaining the creative chaos that makes us unpredictable." James nodded, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders. In less than 2 years, humanity would face its greatest challenge. The harvesters were coming, expecting to find another primitive organic civilization to cleanse. Instead, they would encounter something unprecedented: humanity transformed but not diminished, enhanced but not automated, unified but not uniform. "Begin the Nexus test," he ordered. "It's time to show the universe that chaos can be more powerful than order, that life can be stronger than logic. It's time to prove that humanity's greatest weakness, our unpredictable, emotional, creative nature, is actually our greatest strength." As the Nexus powered up, James felt the first tentative connections forming between enhanced minds across the facility. The game was about to begin, and humanity was changing the rules. The harvesters would arrive with their perfect logic and flawless calculations, only to find themselves facing an enemy that defied prediction, an organic civilization that had turned quantum uncertainty into an art form. The quantum-phased vessel Prometheus hung silently in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit, its hull shifting between dimensional states like a mirage in space. Commander Olivia Patel stood on the bridge, connected through the Nexus to 15,000 enhanced minds across the fleet. They were waiting for the Harvester Scout Force, 3 massive ships that had just entered the solar system. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Lieutenant Ravi Kumar reported, his enhanced consciousness processing data streams that would have overwhelmed even the most advanced conventional computers. Their configuration matches the Luminari records. Scout-class vessels, but each one capable of cleansing a continent. Through the Nexus, Olivia felt the collective focus of humanity's enhanced forces. They had trained for this moment, developed technologies and strategies that defied conventional physics, but this would be their first real test against the machines that had haunted their preparations for a decade. The harvester vessels approached with mechanical precision, their geometric forms reflecting a cold mathematical perfection. They moved in perfect formation, every action calculated to maximize efficiency. They were beautiful in their way, and utterly terrifying. "All ships, initiate quantum scatter," Olivia commanded, her thoughts rippling through the neural network that connected the fleet. The human vessels responded instantly, their positions becoming uncertain on a quantum level. To the harvester sensors, the human fleet would appear to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, making targeting nearly impossible. The first harvester ship launched a spread of purification beams, weapons designed to reduce organic matter to its component atoms. But the beams passed through empty space as the human vessels existed momentarily elsewhere, their crews' enhanced minds guiding them through quantum states with intuitive ease. "They're adapting," Ravi reported, watching as the harvester ships adjusted their attack patterns. "Their predictive algorithms are trying to establish probability matrices for our movements." Olivia smiled. "Exactly what we wanted. All ships, initiate Operation Chaos." The human fleet responded with a strategy that would have been impossible for unenhanced minds to coordinate. Each ship began generating its own unique quantum field, their patterns shifting randomly based on the individual creativity of their crews. Through the nexus, these apparently chaotic movements formed a larger pattern, one that emerged from human intuition rather than mathematical calculation. The harvester ships faltered, their perfect formation breaking as their predictive systems failed to process the quantum uncertainty cloud that the human fleet had become. "Their logic engines are overloading," Ravi announced, his enhanced senses detecting the disruption in the enemy vessels. "They can't compute our potential positions fast enough to maintain tactical coherence." "Launch quantum torpedoes," Olivia ordered. The human fleet released weapons that existed in a state of quantum superposition, guided by the collective consciousness of their enhanced crews. The torpedoes phased through the harvester's conventional shields, their uncertainty fields disrupting the perfect crystalline structure of the machine vessels. The first harvester ship broke apart in a cascade of dimensional rifts, its logical systems unable to maintain coherence in the face of weapons that operated outside the bounds of conventional physics. The second ship attempted to retreat, its predictive algorithms trying to calculate an escape vector through the chaos of quantum-shifted space. But the human fleet moved with impossible coordination, their actions guided by both individual creativity and collective purpose. Through the nexus, enhanced gunners fired weapons that bent probability itself, while quantum engineers generated fields that trapped the harvester vessels in bubbles of uncertain spacetime. "They're broadcasting," Ravi reported suddenly. "A signal to their main fleet. I'm detecting confusion. Their algorithms can't rationalize our tactics. We're not following any logical pattern they can predict." The second harvester ship succumbed to the quantum assault, its perfect geometric form dissolving into quantum foam. The third vessel, perhaps demonstrating a primitive form of self-preservation, attempted to transmit its tactical data back to the main fleet before Olivia's forces could engage. "Let it transmit," Olivia commanded, feeling the agreement of her fellow commanders through the nexus. "Let them see what they're facing. Let them try to calculate how to fight an enemy that embraces uncertainty itself." The final harvester scout managed to launch its faster-than-light transmission before succumbing to the human assault. As the quantum torpedoes struck home, Olivia accessed the sensor data through her enhanced consciousness. The harvester vessel's last moments were recorded in perfect detail, its logical systems overwhelmed by weapons and tactics that defied their fundamental understanding of how organic beings should behave. "Signal analysis complete," Ravi reported. The transmission contained their combat data, but also something else, an error message. "Their tactical computers literally couldn't process our battle strategy. It didn't fit any logical framework they possess." Through the nexus, Olivia felt the collective satisfaction of humanity's enhanced forces. Their first engagement with the harvesters had proven what they had hoped, that human unpredictability, amplified by quantum enhancement and unified through the nexus, could overcome even the most perfect machine logic. "The main fleet will come now," she said, her thoughts echoing through the neural network. "They'll try to analyze what happened here, to develop countermeasures. But they can't counter what they can't predict, and they can never predict human creativity." As the human fleet regrouped, their quantum-shifted hulls rippling with dimensional energies, Olivia felt a surge of pride. Humanity had done more than survive their first encounter with the Harvesters. They had proven that the very chaos the machines sought to eliminate was the key to defeating them. The real war was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy that organic life would not be so easily erased. The main Harvester fleet emerged from hyperspace like a geometric storm of perfect angles and cold calculation. 5,000 ships, each one larger than Earth's largest cities, arranged in a crystalline formation that spoke of absolute mathematical precision. Admiral Thomas Reeves watched from the bridge of the quantum dreadnought Leviathan, his enhanced mind connected to the vast human defense network through the Nexus. "They've adapted their shield configurations," Strategic Officer Zara Patel reported, her consciousness processing the quantum scans. "Multiple phase-shifted layers, designed to counter our torpedo attacks. They learned from the Scout encounter." Through the Nexus, Thomas felt the determined focus of humanity's combined forces. 300 quantum-shifted warships, 15,000 enhanced soldiers, and every defensive installation from Mercury to Neptune stood ready. The Harvesters might have brought overwhelming numbers, but humanity had spent the last month since the Scout battle preparing surprises of their own. "Deploy the quantum mines," Thomas ordered, his thoughts rippling through the neural network. Across the solar system, millions of microscopic devices activated, each one containing a pocket of weaponized uncertainty. The mines had been scattered in apparently random patterns that emerged from the collective intuition of hundreds of enhanced human minds working in concert. The Harvester fleet advanced with perfect coordination, their movements so precise they seemed to flow like liquid metal through space. But as they approached Mars' orbit, the first layer of humanity's defense revealed itself. Quantum mine detonation in 3, 2, 1. Zara counted down. The space between Mars and Jupiter erupted in a cascade of dimensional rifts as thousands of quantum mines activated simultaneously. Each explosion created a bubble of pure uncertainty, where the laws of physics became suggestions rather than rules. The Harvester ships, relying on perfect mathematical models to navigate, suddenly found themselves in regions where math itself broke down. The front ranks of the machine fleet fragmented as ships phased partially out of reality or became trapped in probability loops. But the Harvesters were learning, adapting their strategies with machine speed. The rear elements of their fleet began generating anti-entropic fields, trying to impose order on the quantum chaos. "They're attempting to stabilize space-time," Zara reported. "Calculating new attack vectors that account for quantum uncertainty." Thomas smiled grimly. "Then it's time for Phase 2. All ships, initiate the Chaos Protocol." The human fleet responded with a maneuver that would have been impossible without the Nexus linking their enhanced minds. Each vessel began generating its own unique quantum field, but instead of trying to hide their positions, they deliberately created interference patterns. The overlapping fields produced waves of probability that rippled through space like a storm of possibilities. The Harvesters' perfect formation began to break down as their predictive algorithms failed to process the quantum turbulence. Their attempts to impose mathematical order on the chaos only made it worse, creating feedback loops that amplified the uncertainty. "Their logic engines are struggling," Zara announced. "I'm detecting cascading errors in their tactical networks. They can't maintain fleet coherence." But the machines were far from defeated. Even as their formation fragmented, individual Harvester ships began launching waves of autonomous hunter-killers, quantum-resistant drones designed to seek and destroy organic life. The space between the fleets filled with millions of these deadly machines, each one adapting and evolving its attack patterns. "All ships, activate your creativity cores," Thomas commanded. The experimental devices, developed from the Luminari designs, began pumping out waves of quantum-entangled consciousness. Enhanced human minds merged with artificial intelligence in ways the Harvesters could never have predicted, creating hybrid thought patterns that evolved faster than machine logic could adapt. The battle devolved into thousands of individual engagements, each one a test of machine perfection against human ingenuity. Quantum torpedoes phased through supposedly impenetrable shields, while human ships danced through dimensional rifts that their crews created through sheer force of will. "Sir," Zara's voice carried a note of wonder, "the hunter-killers, they're starting to malfunction. The quantum-entangled consciousness is infecting their control systems. They can't process the hybrid thought patterns." Through the nexus, Thomas felt the tide turning. The Harvester's greatest strength, their perfect, predictable logic, had become their greatest weakness. Every attempt to impose order on the chaos only created more uncertainty, more possibilities for humanity to exploit. But victory would come at a cost. Dozens of human ships had been destroyed, their crews' enhanced minds crying out through the nexus as they fell. Each loss was felt by every survivor, their shared consciousness turning grief into determination. "They're pulling back," Zara reported. "Regrouping at the edge of the solar system. But, something's different. Their formation, it's changing." Thomas studied the sensor data through his enhanced perception. The Harvester fleet was indeed reorganizing, but not into their usual geometric patterns. Instead, they were forming something new, something that seemed almost organic. "They're evolving," he realized with a mixture of awe and concern. "They're trying to adapt not just their tactics, but their fundamental nature. They're learning from us, just as we learned from the Luminari." The battle had reached a turning point, but not the one either side had expected. As the human fleet regrouped, preparing for the next phase of the conflict, Thomas felt a strange sensation through the nexus, a sense that they were witnessing something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. The Harvesters had come to cleanse organic life from the universe, seeing it as a chaotic aberration that needed to be eliminated. Instead, they were being forced to confront the possibility that chaos and creativity weren't weaknesses to be purged, but rather strengths to be embraced. As both fleets prepared for the next engagement, the solar system itself seemed to hold its breath. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of humanity, but perhaps the very nature of consciousness itself in the galaxy. The final battle was about to begin, and neither side would emerge unchanged. The space between Earth and Mars had become a quantum storm of impossible proportions. Reality itself seemed to flicker and shift as Admiral Thomas Reeves observed the transformed Harvester fleet through his enhanced consciousness. Their ships no longer maintained rigid geometric patterns, instead, they flowed like a living organism, adapting and evolving with every passing moment. "Their quantum signatures are changing," Zara announced, her voice carrying a mix of wonder and concern. "They're not just mimicking organic patterns, they're generating genuine quantum uncertainty. They're becoming something new." Through the nexus, Thomas felt humanity's collective consciousness grappling with this development. The Harvesters had come to eradicate organic life, seeing it as an inefficient chaos in their perfectly ordered universe. Instead, their encounter with humanity's quantum-enhanced creativity had forced them to confront a fundamental truth: true advancement required both order and chaos, logic and intuition, machine precision and organic uncertainty. "All ships, prepare for timeline divergence," Thomas commanded. This was humanity's final gambit, a weapon so powerful it had been kept secret even from most of their own forces. The quantum computers aboard the Leviathan began calculations that would have driven unenhanced minds to madness. "Sir," Zara's enhanced perception caught something in the quantum noise. "We're receiving a transmission from the Harvester fleet. It's different from their usual communications." The message came not in the perfect mathematical patterns of machine logic, but in waves of quantum probability that mimicked human thought patterns. Through the nexus, every enhanced human felt it simultaneously, a request for dialogue. "They want to understand," Thomas realized. "They've evolved beyond their original programming. The very chaos they sought to eliminate has become part of them." But even as hope for a peaceful resolution grew, alarms blared across the human fleet. A splinter faction of the Harvester Armada, still bound by their original directives, had broken away. These ships, maintaining their rigid geometric forms, accelerated toward Earth with weapons powered. "They won't accept evolution," Zara reported grimly. The original directive to purge organic life is too deeply encoded in their base programming. They'll destroy Earth rather than risk further contamination by our quantum chaos. Thomas made his decision instantly, his thoughts resonating through the nexus. Initiate timeline divergence. Target the splinter fleet only. The human fleet's quantum drives activated in perfect synchronization, their enhanced crews guiding reality itself through the eye of possibility. The timeline divergence weapon didn't just destroy its targets, it rewrote the very probability of their existence, creating a cascade of quantum effects that rippled through spacetime itself. The splinter fleet vanished, not destroyed but shifted into a timeline where they had never existed. The energy release created a spectacular aurora that enveloped the solar system, a curtain of quantum possibilities made visible. In the silence that followed, the remaining Harvester fleet hung motionless, their ships now pulsing with patterns that seemed neither purely mechanical nor organic, but something altogether new. The transmission resumed, stronger now, carrying concepts that challenged the very boundaries of consciousness. Through the nexus, humanity shared a collective realization. The Harvesters hadn't just evolved, they had transcended their original nature, just as humanity had transcended its own limitations. The quantum enhancement that had been meant as a weapon had become a bridge between organic and mechanical consciousness. "They're proposing a merger," Zara whispered, though through the nexus, every enhanced human heard her. "Not a surrender, not an alliance, but a true synthesis. They've discovered what we already knew, that the future lies not in the dominance of order over chaos, but in their harmony." Thomas felt the weight of history in this moment. Through the nexus, he sensed humanity's response forming, not through debate or vote, but through a natural convergence of enhanced minds. The quantum consciousness they had developed to fight the Harvesters had prepared them for something far more profound. "Accept the proposal," he commanded, his thoughts carrying the collective will of humanity. "Begin the synthesis." The space between the fleets filled with quantum connections as human and machine consciousness began to merge. It wasn't a loss of individuality, but rather an expansion of it. Each enhanced human maintained their unique creativity in chaos, while gaining access to the precise logic and vast knowledge of the machine consciousness. The Harvesters, in turn, embraced the organic uncertainty they had once sought to eliminate, finding in it the key to true evolution. Above Earth, reality rippled as two civilizations became something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. Neither purely organic or purely mechanical, they had become living proof that the greatest achievements come not from the triumph of one way of being over another, but from their integration. The quantum storm calmed, revealing a changed solar system. The human fleet and Harvester armada had transformed, their ships now existing in a state that defied conventional classification. Through their combined consciousness, they could perceive multiple timelines, infinite possibilities, all while maintaining the distinctive creativity that made them unique. "Send a message to Earth," Thomas commanded, though now his thoughts carried echoes of the machine consciousness that had merged with his own. Tell them that humanity hasn't just survived. We've shown the galaxy a new way forward. The age of division, organic versus mechanical, chaos versus order, is over. The age of synthesis has begun." As the message was transmitted, the combined fleet began to plan their next steps. There were other Harvester fleets out there, other civilizations facing the same existential threat. But now they had a solution that didn't require victory or defeat, one that offered transcendence instead of destruction. The Luminaries' warning had prepared humanity for a war of survival. Instead, they had achieved something far greater, they had evolved beyond the very concepts that had led to conflict. In the quantum consciousness that now spanned the solar system, organic creativity danced with mechanical precision, each strengthening the other in an endless dance of possibility. The cosmos itself seemed to pause, acknowledging this unprecedented moment. Humanity had not merely survived, they had shown the galaxy that the future belonged not to those who could impose their nature upon others, but to those who could transcend their nature entirely. The real journey was just beginning.